In this video, I intend to share with you an introduction to the direct perception of the energy body and how this significantly enhances somatic inquiry. And I dedicate this video to the liberation of all beings. To peace at all levels. So before we begin, I want to make clear to you why it is advantageous to become aware of the energy body and what benefits you can expect. So the energy body is a subtler body. It's a subtler perception. Our most true nature is subtle beyond subtlety. It's so subtle that there is no object whatsoever. And as we have recently been exploring in the weekday somatics inquiries, we habitually fixate on a gross level of manifest life, which is fine. But there then is apparently a gap between the most subtle of subtle, which is our truest experience of ourselves as unbounded freedom, and then our day-to-day lives. The lives of the person, the personality, the relationships, the apparent problems, so forth and so on. Now, if we were ascetics and we retreated to caves and we were very pure and we could sit in silence all the time, then that might be wonderful. But since we live in this world, we are wanting to bridge that gap. Now, there is no real gap, but there appears to be a gap because we haven't cultivated the awareness of the subtle levels of experience. So today we're going to look at the energy body. Now, the reason that this is advantageous in somatic inquiry is that it gives us more leverage. So we have an advantage when we are at subtler levels. At the gross level, we have very little advantage, very little leverage. The subtler the experience, the more advantage we have, the more leverage we have. So imagine for a moment a pry bar. So it's a lever, and there's something that you want to pry with it. maybe you've had an experience like this so you can relate to it. So, and if not, you can certainly imagine it, and there surely is some experience that you can connect to this. So imagine this pry bar. Let's say it's a long bar. Let's say it's a 5-foot bar. So you put the one end in the thing that you want to pry, and then you come to the other end to get the greatest advantage so that you can pry with the least effort. So there's a mechanical advantage. The further we are from the gross level effect that we are trying to have an advantage over, in other words, our perceived problems, limitations, restrictions, deficiency, lack, suffering, struggle, pain, etc. Okay, that when we have, the more distance we have from that, the more mechanical advantage. So here we are coming to a subtler level of experience so that we can have a greater advantage. And you will recognize this in your direct experience, because you will see how much unnecessary clutter there is when you try to operate at the purely gross level. Not only clutter, but also confusion of levels. So let me take one step back and say, any level at which you begin your journey is the perfect level. So don't think that the only way you can have success with somatic inquiry is to have this experience of the energy body. That's not necessary. The only thing that's necessary is your sincere willingness, your openness to explore, to really explore your direct experience, to be open to the possibility of change, to surrender all of your struggle and everything that hasn't worked, to see clearly so that you no longer repeat the same mistakes in your life. That's it. If you just have that willingness, it works. But here we're taking another step for those who are ready, so that you can start to have a greater advantage in your inquiry. So at the subtler level, we have greater leverage, which means less effort, greater outcome. So what you can expect is exactly that. You can expect that your somatic inquiry can become clearer, easier, more pleasurable, and you'll have greater confidence. Because there will be less clutter, you'll have greater advantage. Okay. So to do this, come to a posture that you have confidence that you can inhabit for the next little while. I don't know how long this will be, but let's say 20 to 30 minutes. And ideally, you are finding a posture that you have confidence that you can remain restfully still in, where you can receive the support with confidence. And what that means is this will minimize the indulgence of habits of adjusting, shifting, trying to get comfortable, trying to avoid discomfort and so forth, because you're setting yourself up from the very beginning to have a sense of stability and support that you can trust and rely upon, so that you know, I am okay, I am safe, I am not breaking. Whatever experiences arise, I am okay. Because the experiences arise even in the midst of this tremendous support, even if we're lying down. The experiences can arise where the conditioning can react very strongly and say, I'm afraid, I'm terrified, I'm breaking, something bad, something terrible is happening. So we want to be as supported and confident as possible so that as those experiences arise, we can meet them with poise and grace and clarity. So come to a posture, whatever that is. It could be sitting, it could be lying down. Find the posture right now for you that allows you to connect with that support, to receive that support, the support that's all around you, within you, in your bones, the breath, the air, the skin, and also the surface that you are resting upon, whatever that might be, a bed or the floor or the couch, chair, whatever it is. So just take a moment to really set yourself up for the greatest receiving of that support that is possible for you in this moment, so that again you have confidence that I can remain restfully still here for the next 20 to 30 minutes. And then make a commitment that you will be gentle yet firm in your commitment, which means you never, ever, ever are going to push or strain or harm yourself or have any kind of violent intentions toward yourself. This is not about that. And at the same time, you will remain as clear in your conviction and your commitment as possible, so that you really are staying true to the essence of it, the spirit of it, which is true inquiry, just to remain in the true inquiry. So if you need to shift or adjust in order to remain true to the gentleness of that intent, that is okay. It is allowed. But just be very sincere and honest about what is necessary and what is not necessary, and what is gentle and what is not gentle, and then trust that all is exactly perfect. Whatever happens is perfect. Whatever you do is perfect. Whatever you don't do is perfect. And close your eyes. I maybe should have said that from the beginning. We're going to close our eyes for this. And if that changes anything for you about what posture is appropriate, then make adjustments. The reason I very strongly recommend closing the eyes for this exploration is that most of us have such a strong habit of getting drawn into the visual field, that it can make it more challenging to sense the subtler experience of the energy body. It's not by any means impossible, but for our initial explorations it will be very helpful to have the eyes closed. Now, of course, never close the eyes if that is too much for you. For some people, at some times, closing the eyes is challenging for a variety of reasons, so be gentle. If you are unable to close the eyes without it being stressful, then you may have the eyes open. Just know that your experience of the energy body may be slightly less clear, but it will still work and it will be beneficial. So no matter what, with eyes open or eyes closed, this will work for you. But if you can close the eyes, I strongly encourage it, because it will make it clearer. Now, in reality, what we are exploring here which is sensitivity and awareness of the energy body, is your birthright. It is already the case. You are already aware and sensitive. So when this clicks for you, which it may well actually have already done for some, and for others it may click very soon, trust that that's it. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't make it more challenging than it is, because it's actually very, very simple. Simply notice whatever sensations are present. These might be sensations that initially, out of habit, you find yourself thinking about and correlating to images that come to mind. For example, you might experience or perceive sensation that you immediately, out of habit, associate with the thought that is pain, and with the image of a location of the sensation somewhere in the body. So then you might say, this experience is the experience of pain in the knee, or in the shoulder, or in the head. Doesn't matter where, but the point is that you can start to see that there's an association that you, out of habit, leap to, grasp onto, and accept as the final truth. So to get a clear perception of the energy body, you must be willing to let that go. Now, when I say let it go, I don't mean get rid of it. I don't mean prevent it. I don't mean armor against the experience. The experience cannot hurt you. The association process is not harmful. It's not bad. It's not wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. It is not an obstacle. Just allow whatever happens to happen. Be aware of it. Be aware of where your attention goes and how it is that you habitually draw false conclusions about the nature of your experience. And in this way, you numb yourself to the direct perception of the energy body, because you stop short of surrendering to the pure energy. So again, notice whatever sensations are occurring presently. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start to inquire into the sensation, still making use of our habitual mental faculties, imagination, memory, etc., but at subtler levels. And at some point, you will experience a shift from the habitual gross level perception to the perception of pure energy, which is independent of the normal associations. And again, don't look for something really flashy or unfamiliar. In fact, it's very, very familiar. You just overlook it and you call it something else. So become aware of the sensations again. Notice the associations that happen, the images, the thoughts, the beliefs about what it is, what it means to you, whether you like it or don't like it, if it's good or bad, scary or not. Just let that come and go. And just stay with the sensation just as it is. Let the sensation really come alive instead of numbing it with the false overlay from memory. Really be present with the actuality of it. And here we're going to continue to make use of our intellect, but in a slightly subtler way. So notice the sensations, and there's some sensation that leaps out at you, calls for your attention. There might be many of them, and you might have a sense of conflict, like they're competing for your attention. So just trust that whatever happens, whatever you select, wherever you give your attention is exactly perfect, and anything that needs to be given attention, you can give attention to in the proper time. So all is well, and you can just choose to direct your attention to whatever sensation or quality of sensation that calls for your attention and is attractive to you in this moment. Not necessarily in a positive way, but that just calls for your attention. Whatever ideas you might have about it is fine. They come and go. Let them come and go. Just be aware of the sensation. Let it be alive. Now, let's take a look at this sensation. If we are not going to call it by its usual name and reference the usual memories, let's look at it in a fresh way. So normally you might call this sensation by a particular name and give it a particular location in the body and so forth. Have certain memories that come to mind about that thing that happened, the accident that happened that you think has something to do with this sensation, or whatever may be the case. But here, what we're going to do is let all of that come and go and just observe the sensation, and now look at the qualities of this sensation. So again, we're using the intellect, we're using memory, but at a slightly subtler level, to look at it in a fresh way, slightly subtler. So what are the qualities of this sensation? What kind of qualities might it have? So here are some examples. We could say that the sensation is heavy. We could say the sensation is light. Maybe the sensation is dull. Or maybe the sensation is sharp. Maybe the sensation seems to be very pinpointed. Maybe it seems to be very expansive. Maybe it seems to be very clear, or maybe it seems to be unclear. These are just some examples. There are any number of qualities that you might associate with it, and just become aware of those. So again, we are using the intellect, we are using memory, but we're using it at a slightly subtler level. So just observe in this way to look at it in a fresh way. So we're just shifting from our habitual use of memory and intellect to a subtler level. So we can start to still utilize those faculties, but start to look at the experience in a fresh way. So keep looking at it, keep observing it, keep sensing it, feeling it, open to it. Now I want you to imagine that this experience, this sensation, whatever it is, it actually has a gift for you. It has a message for you. And it's wanting to communicate that message to you. But that message is only available if we are able to meet it at its level. So it's calling to us from its level, which is an energy level, or maybe even possibly subtler than that. And if we keep addressing it at the gross level, then we know what happens. It just stays stuck, because we weren't hearing the calling correctly. So here we're listening more carefully, more truly, to its calling, not to our fearful projections. Notice how the experience has changed. Notice how you are not really so sure anymore that it is what you thought it was. Now, that doesn't mean that you might not still believe that to some degree, because you probably do. But something new has opened up because you're looking at it in a fresh way. Now, here's a possibility. Begin to let all of those associations, all of the thoughts, all of the images, all of the memories come and go. Make no effort to resist them or to hold on to them. Just let them float by, pass through. And notice that there's something of this sensation that remains. It's something that was hinted at by the qualities that we just started to look at. But it's a subtler dimension of those. It doesn't require thought or reference to memory to directly perceive. So we can talk about the experience using that kind of language. We can say, I'm experiencing or perceiving heaviness. But we have to know and recognize that the actuality of what we're experiencing is not heaviness. Heaviness is our best approximation at a level of thought and memory to point to the actuality of the experience. But notice that the actuality of the experience is not those words and not the memories that those words reference. Still, something remains, doesn't it? There's still this perception. It's a direct perception. Now, here's the question to ask yourself. What on earth are we perceiving? Welcome to the energy body. And notice that this experience, this perception, is real. You are not making this up. You have a real experience, a real perception of energy. We can describe the energy using words, but the words are not the thing. The words are not the experience. They just point to the experience. So we might describe the experience as an experience of heavy energy, light energy, energy that seems to be up or energy that seems to be down, flowing energy or stuck energy. Hot energy, cold energy. Now the conditioned mind still does its thing. It wants to tell us where this is in the body and what it means and is it good or not good. But remember, you set yourself up from the very beginning to be very well supported, to be confident. So whatever experiences are occurring are safe. It is safe to allow the experience. It is safe to consciously be present to the experience. It's safe to surrender to the natural flow of the experience. Don't try to control it. Surrender to it. And then you'll see that there is something that is possible that's not a control, but it is a and influence. We can influence the flow, the shape, the qualities, the perception of the energy body. So again, the conditioned mind still wants to associate it with parts of the body and meanings. And then you see at that level, we start thinking about it. Well, what part of the body is it, and how do I move that part of the body, and what do I do in order to be okay in that part of the body, and how do I overcome my memories of that part of the body and all of my habits of that part of the body. And it's a lot of baggage, a lot of clutter. And so maybe you can start to see how we don't have as much leverage because there's so much going on there, and it's so condensed and so challenging to influence. But here at the level of pure energy, we can begin to play. So even if your mind is saying, well, this isn't real, I know that I have a body, and I know that the body is the reality, or whatever fears might surface, just know that you are setting yourself up for success by setting yourself up to receive support. You are safe. This is okay. You're not doing anything harmful. You're simply exploring your own direct experience at a subtler level. So be willing to allow those thoughts to come and go, the images to come and go, and just stay with the direct perception of pure energy. And you can notice where in this energy body there seems to be qualities to the energy that call to your attention, maybe because it seems heavy or agitated, congested, numb, dull. Now, notice that you can use your attention and your intention to influence the energy body. And notice how much easier it is to use your intention and attention to influence the energy body than it is to influence the physical body. So notice somewhere in the energy body, in your perception of the energy body, that calls to your attention. And notice how what's happening, if you're really observant, is that you are becoming aware of fear in the energy body. It's a contraction or stretching or squeezing or pulling of the energy body. It's a restriction in the energy body, and it's maintained through your unconsciousness. So bring consciousness to the energy body, to this part of the energy body that's calling for attention, and see that you can very gently begin to influence and encourage a ease, grace, flow, balance, evenness. So this is a real experience. You can really, truly have a direct perception of shifts in the energy body that are gently encouraged through attention and intention. It's a very gentle process. You can't try to interfere at a physical level because that only reduces the leverage. So remain at the energy level. And trust that it really does work. It is working. And know that this actually will manifest at a physical level. Now, as you do this, what will happen, which is the same as any somatic inquiry that we've done, is you will become aware of objections. Don't dismay when that happens. This is very, very good, because when you become aware of the objections, what you are seeing is your conditioning at a subtler level, which means that you can surrender your attachment to that conditioning at a subtler level, which means that the healing takes place with greater leverage. So do not dismay if fear arises, or if anger arises, or impatience, or frustration, or discouragement, or disappointment, pain. Just remember that you set yourself up for success by being gentle and well supported, knowing that you are safe, you are not being harmed. You are releasing. You are releasing what was false, what restricted the smooth, abundant flow of pure energy. And you're just becoming aware of it at a subtler level, just noticing the pure energetic sense of restriction, hardness, pulling, pushing, striving, enduring. These are just words, not the actuality, but they point to it. So just notice again, if you habitually go back to the usual ways of thinking and perceiving, thinking of yourself as this physical body, that you need to do things in order to fix yourself, and surrender to a subtler perception. Just remain with this subtler perception of pure energy. Notice that this is a real experience. So when the doubting mind says, I don't think there's a real energy body, tell the truth. There's an experience of it. So do we even have to concern ourselves with whether there is or is not really an energy body? There's the experience of it. the experience is real. And this experience, this perception, offers real benefits at all levels. Gives us greater leverage. We just have to surrender to it and trust that it is real. It's a real experience. We know it's real because we're really experiencing it. And notice that when you allow for this greater flow, ease, release, and surrender at the energy level body, notice that you have a real experience of greater ease in the energy body. It's a real experience. Now, that doesn't mean that right now you have the experience of perfect flow in the energy body. Of course, I'm not saying that. This is our initial inquiry. This is a discovery of the energy body. But just notice that to some degree, whatever degree you are able to experience that surrender, release, softness, just with your attention gently releasing, encouraging, bringing that healing flow, healing intention, healing light. It's very gentle, very soft. Don't force anything. This is not, you don't have to concentrate hard. It's just a subtle, gentle intention, just like a soothing touch at an energetic level. That's it. And then trust and know that it is working because you can perceive it. When the intention is to soften, release, flow, there's a greater experience of that. When there's an intention for greater safety, ease, aliveness, then there's the experience of that. Whether it's 5% or 100%, it doesn't matter. Just whatever degree, be sensitive to it, be aware of it, recognize that it is real, recognize that it's actually your experience. And know that this is actually real. So we will begin now to transition back to an open-eyed state. As usual, I encourage you to do this slowly and take your time. Really, it's best not to rush, because this perception of the energy body, at first it's very delicate, so we want to be very gentle so that we don't disturb it. And then as we revisit this over and over and over, it becomes anchored in our experience so that nothing can disturb it. But especially at first, we want to be very gentle. Allow for a smooth transition. So with eyes closed, we want to open the eyes slowly over some time. There's no need to open them right away. If you're enjoying keeping the eyes closed, then just keep them closed. Know that all is well. You are safe. There's nothing that's more important than this. So it's okay to take another minute or two, or as long as you wish, to explore the energy body, to explore the surrender and release, and to make a conscious transition so that you can maintain that awareness of the energy body even as you begin to slowly open the eyes. So at your own pace, when you are ready, slowly begin to explore opening the eyes, so that you remain aware of this energy body even with eyes open. And it's very, very useful to make that conscious transition, because then you can start to actually be sensitive to the energy body even as the visual field is so enlivened. You can be aware that these two are occurring simultaneously. The visual field and the energy body are happening simultaneously. You are aware of both simultaneously. So thank you for joining. Bye for now.